Good afternoon. We're here at the home of Big Canoe longtime resident Bill Gibson. Bill retired from Delta Airlines as a captain in 2000, and shortly after they moved into their house in Big Canoe, he began planning. In fact, when he was building the house, they were planning for this train room. And I wanted to ask Bill to tell us a little about how he conceptualized this design and what went into the design.
I've always been interested in railroads and model railroads, and I hadn't had a model railroad in quite some time. And I decided when I retired up here to Big Canoe and something to keep me out of the bars that I would not build it myself, but have a model railroad built. And so the question always is, when one is getting ready to do this, are you going to build a freelance railroad, or are you going to try to do a prototype, one that has all the exact details and things like that and looks just like the outside world? That's very difficult to do, and I decided that no, I wanted to do something a little different, and I wanted to emphasize our love of North Georgia and the mountains that we were living in. I decided that I wanted to do what a lot a people do and have set the time frame as sometime between 1958 and 1963. And that's a lot of years, but that is what a lot of people do because it allows you to still operate steam engines, because some railroads had not switched over all the way to diesels at that time. But it also allows you to operate first and second generation diesel engines, and it doesn't look like it's a total anachronism. Anyway, Steve Worak, the guy who owns Circuitron and was the ultimate constructor of the Vinings Northern Railroad, came down here, flew down from Chicago, and he and I drove all over North Georgia for a full day and looked at various things that we have to offer. We looked at the marble quarry at Tate. We looked at an apple orchard up around Ellijay. We looked at some other things, what the little towns look like around here. We looked at, had lunch in Blue Ridge, and we looked at Tate, of course. We looked at Jasper. We looked at several others, and we got an idea of what a small town in North Georgia looks like. And so with that in mind, and what the time frame would be, Steve went back to Chicago and started working on a layout. And he would send me plans and ideas that he had, and did I like it or not like it from time to time, and we would go on from there. And so eventually, after about a year, we had a model railroad. And it took him and 3 other people almost a week to install the railroad. Once it was here, it came in a big 20-foot long trailer.
Bill, thank you. What are the favorite parts of the railroad from your perspective and also from your grandchildren's perspective?
Well, they very much like, everyone likes the marble quarry. That's something that you don't see everywhere. It's very unusual anywhere in the United States to have a marble quarry, but we do have one here. We have an apple orchard where you can see people actually have ladders up in the trees, and they're picking apples, and this replicates what you might find up around Ellijay with all the apple orchards they have. We have a city which is called Vinings, and the idea is that after the Civil War, the city of Atlanta was so badly damaged that, and the bridges across the Chattahoochee were so badly damaged that the new South, or the new capital of Georgia, wasn't going to be Atlanta. It was going to be Vinings. And so that my imaginary city of Vinings grew and has skyscrapers and other large buildings. And of course, we know that didn't happen. The idea also that I gave to Steve Worak in building the thing was that the railroad, the initial construction of it took place around 1885, which was 20 years after the Civil War, and the South was still in the process of rebuilding. And the idea is that the first builder of the Vinings Northern Railroad was one of the first graduates of Georgia Tech. And he was such an engineering freak that he didn't always want to follow river banks and the routes of rivers. He wanted to go as the shortest distance between two lines. And so he didn't mind building bridges, and he didn't mind boring tunnels. And so you'll find a lot of tunnels and a lot of bridges on the Vinings Northern, and that's some interest to people.
Bill, thank you for taking the time out to let us photograph and video your layout. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is that you understand you're donating your layout to the Tate Depot, and when do you expect that will come about?
We're working with Becky Denny and some other folks in the community who have control of the Tate Depot right now. And that's where we'd like to move the railroad. I am now 80 years old. I've got arthritis, bad back, and stuff like that, and so it's become more and more difficult for me to get these tiny couplings and change them and do what needs to be done to re-rail the small cars that come off the track from time to time, and to get underneath the railroad and try to retrieve cars that have our locomotives that have gone awry and had a derailing accident underneath the railroad. So anyway, we don't have a time frame for sure, but the first things first, we're trying to get Steve Warak, who built the railroad, to come back down here and take charge of rebuilding it. He knows it better than anybody else, and if anybody can move it and make it look like it should, it's Steve. So the plan right now is I'm still talking to him and to come down here in the next few months and take a look at where we're going to be moving the railroad, and then what he's going to have to do, what will have to be done to the depot itself to change that. I hope that I will see it in action over at the depot.